The president, during his little 5-minute talk today, said that one of the key problems that we have is that the banks don't have capital, and we have to act aggressively to put capital back into the banks so that they can make loans. He's half right on this. The banks do need capital. But once again, the understanding of capital is very, very important. I mentioned before that capitalism isn't what we have, because capital comes from what is left over after you work hard and you use what you need to live on and you have something left over. Then you can take that and you can save it and put it in the bank or reinvest it or buy new equipment. That's capital. And we haven't worked that way for a long, long time because we quit saving a long time ago, and because the world markets were distorted by us being able to issue the reserve currency of the world. We got accustomed to calling capital what the Federal Reserve creates out of thin air. They take dollars in credit and they inject these into the banks, and then the banks make these loans and they call this capital. That is not capital. It only acts as capital because it dilutes the real value of the circulating dollar, but it didn't come from savings. So we do need it, but what we need are real savings. We don't need this continuation of deficit finance, inflating the currency and calling this capital. So it's the lack of understanding about free markets and capitalism that got us into this mess, and this idea that we can print our way out of it and the Federal Reserve out of thin air can create more capital and put it into the banks is fallacious. Besides, the key to this is something the president did mention. He was correct about that, and that is confidence, the lack of confidence. But you don't restore confidence by doing the same thing, by diluting the value of the dollar. And once again, if these attitudes don't change, they're going to continue to destroy the dollar. There are so many dollars out there right now that haven't come home to roost, and they will, and will have to suffer the consequences because we've had a free ride for so many years. We've been able to spend these dollars overseas and get goods and services without working for them. But what we need to do is restore confidence in the currency where we can go back to saving again. We shouldn't accept this idea that every time we have a crisis, especially in the last 10, 15 years, every time we had a setback, the Fed inflated more and told the consumer to borrow and spend, especially like, after 9/11 and other times when the market seemed to be floundering. They would just say that the consumer has to save the economy by spending more and running up deficits. That isn't the way you restore capital to the markets. You restore capital by getting people to work again, be confident about the currency, where they're willing to save, and we have a long way to go from there to there, and we have to do that rather soon, because if we continue to blame freedom and capitalism, we're going to end up with very difficult times. And of course, ultimately, that is the real test, whether it's dealing with our foreign policy, dealing with terrorism and 9/11, or dealing with these panicky states in the financial market. The real threat is to our liberties, because those who love big government use these emergencies to just further erode our freedoms. And I'm afraid that is what's coming. But hopefully, the number of people around this country that I have met in the last couple of years who are enthusiastic about what we're talking about, enthusiastic about sound money and limited government and personal responsibility, our numbers are growing. We have a tough task, but if we do our job, we can restore sanity to the market and freedom to this country.